guys, what's going on? Thanks for taking a little time out of your day to watch the video, much appreciated. And I'm just heading back from Bull Shoals Lake right now. Just had a on the water lesson, and a beautiful day on the water, man. It was probably low 60s, 65 degrees. Really nice day to be out on the water. And driving home, I wanted to do today's video, which we're going to talk about how to catch bass on calm bluebird days, which a lot of people consider that some of the toughest conditions that you have in fishing. So I'm going to give you guys sort of, what I've experienced on that, and sort of the things that work for me and some things that don't. But first of all, we're doing this series. I've been doing a lot of videos here lately on different weather patterns, different weather conditions, because every day is different out there. I mean, every single day that you're on the water, you've got some type of variation in the weather patterns. It can be wind speed, it can be wind direction, it can be temperature, it can be sunlight levels of penetration. There's a lot of different stuff that goes on there, and the bass will react differently under different conditions, specifically the technique that's required to catch them. So in today's topic, we're talking about calm bluebird skies, and there's a couple of different things that you really need to know about this, because sometimes, depending upon the situation you're in, that can be a good thing, and sometimes it can be a bad thing. I mean, for example, if you're sight fishing, where you're actually visibly looking for bass, cruising or whatever, those conditions are ideal under the right water temperatures. Whereas if you're fishing a different type of techniques, like say throwing a crankbait or a lipless crankbait or spinnerbait, those conditions can be extremely tough for it. So first of all, when you decide how you're going to approach calm bluebird days, there's a couple different things to consider here before you decide how you want to fish or what you want to fish with. First of all, one of the biggest things that you have to consider is the water temperature and water clarity. And all you guys that watch the videos here, you hear me talk about water temperature and water clarity a bunch, because the reason I do that is like two of the biggest factors that really determine how you need to fish. Your approach to fishing has a huge impact on it, specifically when you're fishing bluebird days with not much wind on it. So here's the deal with that, and I'm going to start a little bit with water clarity and water temperature on one end of the spectrum, and we're going to go down to the other end of the spectrum. On one end of the spectrum, you have cold, clear water, or cold, muddy water, or cold, stained water. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have warm, muddy water, or warm, stained water, or warm, clear water. So those conditions, when you have a bluebird skies and calm winds under those conditions, will dictate several different type of techniques. First of all, if you're in a situation where you've got some type of let's just start with clear water and not much wind with that. Most of the time, if you have clear water with not much wind, regardless of the situation, you're going to have to finesse down a little bit. You're going to have to downsize your approach. And for example, if you're say you were catching them on a crankbait or spinnerbait on main lake points before it got bluebird with no wind. Say you had a 10-mile-an-hour wind and you had partly cloudy skies or cloudy skies, and they were biting a crankbait. If you get that same scenario where there's just no wind, bright sunny skies, a lot of times those fish aren't going to chase a bait, and you're going to have to back out, slow down with like a Ned rig, shaky head, drop shot, football head jig, something like that. Something that's on the bottom is going to be, the way to go about that. And also, another variable with that, if you've got a calm conditions with not much wind, and you're fishing around some type of target like a dock or bushes or lay down or something like that, the fish are always going to be tucked into the shady part of that particular piece of cover, unless the water is super cold. If the water temperatures are under like 45 degrees, a lot of times the sunny side can be a little bit better. But if you're say for example you were again fishing down a bank that had some laydowns on it, and you were catching them throwing a spinnerbait through the laydowns, or that type of stuff, if it's bluebird day, if it's bright, not much wind, you're going to have to get in there and you're going to have to penetrate the thickest piece of the cover with that to catch the fish. The same with fishing like around boat docks. You're always looking to put that bait, in the darkest, shadiest areas in those conditions. So the main thing that you have to remember when you're in these conditions is bass simply don't want to chase under calm bluebird conditions. It's very rare that they want to chase a bait very far. Bass will chase a bait if you have conditions that are conducive for that make them feel a little bit more safe. And the things that make bass feel more safe or more aggressive or more apt to chase a bait is cloud cover, rain, wind, that type of stuff. Sometimes off-colored water. That's when you're going to catch those fish. Specifically, if you have a south wind, a rising barometric pressure, a south wind make fish aggressive and want to move. But when you lose that wind, those fish, they don't really move that much. They just will not follow a bait and come out and get it. And that's usually why you have to slow down and finesse them out or go flipping and pitching the heavier cover, that type of thing. It's going to be the way to go about them. Now, there are some exceptions to that. That's the general foundation for most situations. But if you have a situation I found where you have warm water that's clear with no wind on it, and you have a big smallmouth bass population, that is a great time of year to fish a topwater. If I have water temperatures that are, over 70 degrees, I don't care what the water clarity is. It can be 10-foot visibility, 20-foot visibility. If I've got those conditions and I've got a big smallmouth population, they will hammer a topwater bait in there because you can pull those smallmouth from a long distance up off the bottom, and they're not like the largemouth. They'll get extremely aggressive on those calm bluebird days, but that's an exception to the rule. You don't see that very often. More than anything else, it's those fish are going to tuck down. They're going to get into heavy cover. They're going to stay close to the bottom with that. And also, a lot of it has to do with the the type of cover you're fishing, the water temperature, as how you need to approach that situation. So overall, guys, the gist of this particular video is I want to leave you with the foundation. And I build these videos on foundations. So I don't get into specifics a lot because the specifics change day to day. But the basic thing you want to take away from this is on bluebird days where you don't have any wind, don't fish your moving baits. Don't fish your power baits. You need to go to the slow baits like jigs, shaky heads, drop shots, finesse jigs, Texas rigs, things that you can fish on the bottom, things that the fish don't have to chase very far, and things that you can put into tight, shady places. That's going to be the key to catching them. So anyway, I hope that helps you guys catch a few more fish. Like I said, every day is a different day on the water. And there's always exceptions to the rule, but you got to start somewhere, and hopefully that gives you guys a foundation. So we'll check in with you guys later. See ya.